Hi, good morning here from Los Angeles. Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and I'm also with Aspiring Magazine on the East Coast. And I'm so happy to have our guest here today, and I'm going to have him introduce himself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. My name is Yale Freed. I'm based in Pennsylvania, a little bit outside Philly, and I'm the writer-director of Unraveled.
Yes, and we're so happy to have Yale here today. And Unraveled's going to be at Dances with Films here in Los Angeles here really soon. Tell us, when is Unraveled going to be shown here at the Chinese Theater?
Unraveled is screening at 4:15 p.m. on Sunday as part of Dance with Films family block.
Beautiful. I am going to cut this next part out, but I'm going to let AJ in. She is the publicist. I
Mhm.
guess she's a she. I don't know.
Yes, she is. Is she? Yeah.
Okay. Haven't met her. So we're going to edit. Hi, AJ. Do you want to be on screen or do you want to be behind the scenes?
No, I just wanted to say hi, check
Okay,
in,
thank you.
make
Yeah,
sure everyone was on, and I'm
great.
going to go away. Hi, Yale.
Hi, good to see you.
Hi,
You
thank
too.
you for setting it all up.
My
All right,
pleasure.
Thank you.
You guys enjoy. I will
great.
check in with you afterward.
Sounds great. Thanks
Okay,
again.
thanks.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Cool. All right. So now is our little Q&A, and thank you so much again, Yale.
Mhm.
And so we're talking about Unraveled, and congratulations, by the way, on being selected for Dances with Films, which is one of my favorite film festivals to cover. What inspired the story behind Unraveled?
Yeah, Unraveled. I like to joke that Unraveled is a fictional film based on very real fears. When I was a bar mitzvah boy a while ago now, I was very, very scared of dropping the Torah. It was kind of one of those lore stories you hear in Hebrew school. I'd heard stories of kids dropping the Torah and having to fast for 40 days, and later I started reading about it, and it's kind of one of those things in Judaism where if it happens to you, it is seen as a condemnation from God. It's seen as a horrific moment in front of the whole community. The rabbi technically decides the punishment, but historically it's been 40 days of fasting for the person who drops it, and sometimes even for the congregation who witnesses it. So it's a pretty high stakes moment for a 13-year-old who's about to not only hold the Torah for the first time, but read it in front of all of your family and friends. So it was definitely something I was scared of as a bar mitzvah a student. And then in college, I actually became a bar mitzvah tutor at a Hebrew school in Boston while I was attending Emerson Film School. And I did definitely see the exact same fear in my bar mitzvah students. And it just kind of was one of these ideas that I was like, you know what? I think this is fun. I'm going to scribble this idea down as a potential short film idea while I was at film school, which I had a version of the script, honestly, when I was in film school. And then it kind of just went away. And then around the time I found out I was going to be a father, I revisited the script and I was like, you know what? I feel like this is my kid's going to have the same fear too. This is so funny. And I wanted to revisit the story, but with the father son lens, which is very much baked into the story.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. I found it pretty funny. I've been to a few bar mitzvahs myself. Um, because it centers around Simon's fear of dropping the Torah
Yes.
before his bar mitzvah. So yeah, wow. So how did you balance the cultural specificity of a bar mitzvah with the broader, more universal coming of age theme?
Yeah, so I wanted to show a bar mitzvah film without the very traditional bar mitzvah movie lens, which is always like, who are you inviting? What theme is the party going to be? Is your party as expensive as your neighbor's party?
Yeah,
Which does tend to be like this Keeping Up with the Steins as a film I saw as a kid, and or this You're Not Invited to My Bar Mitzvah. Like that's traditionally what a bar mitzvah movie looks like, which is funny because my memories of my bar mitzvah are like not about the party at all. It's entirely the 2 years of studying and the 6 months of Torah portion studying and then the writing a speech and all these and the anxiety. So I knew I wanted to really center it on the anxiety and the Jewish experience while really kind of almost like cutting out the in-between stuff, the school, the other, because you're also in eighth grade or ninth grade or however, whenever you turn 13, you're also in school every day doing homework, you know, trying to figure out how to navigate your new crushes and looming puberty. And then in the afternoons and the evenings, you're studying and you're writing speeches and you're. So I wanted to really show this kind of exhausting moment where I think a lot of Jewish kids felt a little lost and stranded in this these two lives, like these two really separate identities, these disparate identities. And that was really the goal here. That you kind of so I did show that a bit with Simon has divorced parents, one of whom is more religious and one is less religious. My parents are not divorced. That part's more fictional. It's just to really show these really separate identities that he has.
So how did music and sound, the music and sound design contribute to the emotional tone of the film?
Yeah, music was it was probably like the first decision I made after we'd negotiated all these other concepts and ideas. I knew I wanted to have this really traditional klezmer sound. Like I wanted the music straight out of the 1800s. This kind of like far, these Jewish immigrant ideas and feel. Michael Winograd is actually an incredible composer. He's played at Kennedy Center. He's played all over New York. He's amazing. And my wife is an opera singer, and she'd actually gone to music. She knew him from music school vaguely, and I'd reached out to him, and he immediately came on board. And he was on board well before we shot the film, so he knew what it was going to look like, what it was going to feel like. And I kind of just let him run wild. He had a couple demos written before we ever even shot anything. And then pretty quickly, once we were actually in the editing process, we were very lucky that he had already generated demos that we'd kind of laid on the earliest rough cuts. We were very quickly editing the film to that anxious beat, these kind of interesting strings that come in. He himself is this remarkable clarinet player, so some of his clarinet comes in these really beautiful moments in the synagogue and this kind of sanctuary moment. You get a little bit of the clarinet undertone. So that came together pretty quickly. And for the sound design, I really knew there's a couple big moments where sound pulls you in and out. And Simon's wearing headphones, which is something I can remember just putting in music just to kind of escape a moment. So we built those moments into the script. So a lot of the sound design and the music was really built into the story before we ever filmed.
Yeah, I'd say it was very enjoyable. So, are there any upcoming plans for the film beyond this premiere or other festivals, possibly Gonna try that again. Are there any upcoming plans for the film beyond this premiere, like any other festivals or possibly expanding this story?
Yes, so there are definitely, we're waiting to hear back from a number of festivals. My goal was to premiere at a non-Jewish festival because I did want to touch on a slightly broader audience. Though I imagine the film will very soon kind of hit the Jewish Film Festival circuit. And then after that, we'll do a number of Q&As, a couple of which are already planned at synagogues on the Eastern Seaboard where I'm currently based. I do want to show it to bar mitzvah students, and I want to show it to congregations, and I do want to kind of have a conversation with it, which I'm excited about. On the broader lens, I spent some time on a feature concept of this film, though I have a number of other feature films that I like a little bit more, one of which I'm very excited about and we're about to start pitching is specifically based on the Shiva, which is like a kind of this 7-day mourning period, and setting a love story around this 7-day mourning period. So that's the film I'm currently working on as a feature.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, how can our readers and our viewers find out more about the film, more about you? Let us know.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Yale Freed. I'm online, yalefreed.com. You can find the trailer for Unraveled on my website, and hopefully keep up with whatever comes next, which hopefully there'll be some news about soon.
So, Unraveled at the Chinese Theater here at Dances with Films. Tell us the date again.
Sunday, June 22nd, I believe, at 4:15 p.m.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much again, Yale, for joining us. And we're the Hollywood Times. Today. Our YouTube is the Hollywood Times official, and I think you're going to all get a laugh out of it. So come check it out. Okay. Thanks so much again for joining us, and look forward to meeting you in person next week.
Thank you so much, Valerie. I'm excited.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.